Welcome, everybody. I'm honored to be sharing the screen with some of the best minds leveraging AI and technology in and around career readiness for kids. For many years, technology has played a role in education, which was accelerated dramatically during the pandemic. And now, a few short years later, we have another accelerator, generative AI. AI is being leveraged around education and career readiness in many ways, building skills, personalization at scale, mentorship, guidance, coaching, and more. Many believe that AI has the ability to equitably empower our youth with the skills, knowledge, and insights that they need to thrive in a rapidly changing world of work. But let's see how. So we have our panelists here today. We're going to jump in and get this conversation started. So let's start the conversation around coaching, mentorship, and guidance. So the value of a caring adult providing sound mentorship, coaching, or guidance to kids is well established. However, not all kids have access or the level of access to that type of support. So we're going to start it off with Jared. Jared, you've built a community where millions of kids are engaging with professionals in Q&A format. You're doing something right with Career Village, no doubt. How have you achieved that success, and how does AI change the way that you're bringing Career Village into the future and solve that problem going forward?
Yeah, so I'm Jared Chung. I'm the executive director of careervillage.org. And as you mentioned, we have served millions of people with career advice. We started originally with this idea of Q&A, something that is super common, super important for young people to get their questions answered. And what we recognized was that there were just a tremendous number of everyday people who had the answers to those questions. And we had real challenges scalably and with high quality getting them connected. So careervillage.org uses technology to facilitate this Q&A interaction. We have a platform where for over a decade now, anybody can ask any question about any career. And then we automatically match those questions to working professionals who have relevant experience and invite them to come in and post answers. And a young person will get multiple answers to their question. The first answers typically come in the same day, sometimes within the same hour, or even just a few minutes after the question is posted, as this large crowd of volunteers is working together to try to get as many great answers to the learners as possible. And over the years, we've accumulated a really large group, a really large community of people, over 150,000 at this point, working professionals who have signed up to volunteer in this way. And over those 13 years, we've accumulated a tremendous amount of really great career information, all text-based career advice. So when large language models started to really come to the fore, we took a real hard look at that and said, how can we support the community with technology that helps them make sure that the best answers are getting in front of learners? But also, how can we use this technology to provide some additional forms of career advice that are hard to do in a Q&A format? So for example, we took something like doing a mock interview. It's actually quite difficult to do that in a Q&A format, but we recognized that we could use AI to create experiences where a young person could do a mock interview. So we started working at the beginning of 2023 on building Coach, which is an AI career coach that is a separate and complementary service from Career Village. We did that in cohort with over 20 nonprofits and educational institutions who were involved in testing Coach in the United States and overseas with high school students and adult learners as well. And at this point, Coach has had, here by the summer of 2024, has had well over 20,000 conversations with learners about careers, and has accumulated just a really huge amount of career advising knowledge. I think there's tremendous opportunity. Coming back to your framing for the panel, I think there's huge opportunity to use AI to support career advising, career navigation with personalization. But the key is to put it in front of people and to iterate based on real chats with real learners to make it of high quality and safe and reliable.
That's fantastic, and I think the personalization and the, how do you leverage off of the data you have? I mean, really key point. And congratulations on 20,000 so far. I mean, that's tremendous, tremendous, and more to come. We'll turn it in a slightly, or let's turn it over to John for a second. John, Get School provides young people, especially those typically disenfranchised, with a tremendous set of resources to prepare for both college and jobs. Can you talk about the way in which you're leveraging AI to serve young people, and how educators and parents think about the resources they provide?
Yeah, you bet. Thanks, Lee. So I'm John Branham. I'm the executive director of Get Schooled. Get Schooled has been around about 14 years. And we think of ourselves as being that all digital college and first jobs advisor, and really trying to democratize access to high quality content and personalized supports as young people are navigating their journeys to continue their education after high school, find those first jobs, and think about their careers. And although we serve all young people across the country, we, as you mentioned, Lee, are particularly focused on students who are coming from low-income families, Black, Brown, First Gen, LGBTQ plus IA. So we, in terms of AI, and actually we're super grateful for ASA's support, who funded our first tool, which is called Interview Coach. And so the purpose of Interview Coach, I think in ways that are probably complementary to Jared's comments, the purpose of Interview Coach is to really help young people prepare to be more successful in those critical first job interviews. So I think a couple of things are going on. The first is that all young people that are in high school and early college these days are what I like to call pandemic kiddos. So they navigated the pandemic and they maybe didn't have all of the traditional opportunities to build skill sets around building relationships, reading social cues, et cetera. And so what that means in the workforce is that as they're beginning their work journey in those first jobs, they maybe are having some difficulties in those first interviews. I think additionally, especially when we're talking about young people from low-income families, Black and Brown youth, if we're being really honest, there are oftentimes cultural dynamics that are at play in those first jobs for young Black and Brown youth, where the hiring managers may look different from them and are coming from different cultural backgrounds. And so the big idea behind Interview Coach was to provide an experience by using generative AI to skill up young people in those first interviews. And so they can come into our website, they can engage with an agent. So think sort of static avatar that looks like them, feels like they're coming from a complementary background. The voiceovers match those demographics of Black and Brown folk. The conversation is empowering, supportive, but also very real around what those first interviews feel like. And then I think powerfully at the end of the Interview Coach experience, young people have the opportunity to download immediately a report that provides insights around what those young people did really well in the interview and how they can improve next time. So we introduced this tool a couple of months ago, and it's been very, very successful. We actually polled young people around the tool and just said, hey, comment on the experience. And 87% of the young people polled said that the tool dramatically increased their confidence and competency around interviews. And I just think that it's remarkable. We're really excited about the tool. And we think that AI plays a critical role because if we're being really honest, we just don't have enough time and people to meet in person and do all of the trainings you need in person with young people, many of whom are also living in rural communities. So we're really excited about the tool. We're really excited about generative AI. That's Interview Coach.
Yeah, also fantastic. And I think the points you make when it comes to for lack of a different term, the personalization and the authenticity to make sure that somebody feels comfortable in the use of a tool, such as an interview practice tool like yours, and leveraging AI. I think that's a critical point when it comes to delivering a product or an experience that the people want to use. And I think when I think about other organizations that are doing that well, I think of Taylor, both yours and then Randy separately, but in very much the same way. So let's shift over there, and then I want to circle back to a couple of other things that you guys have said as we've gone. But so for my question for Taylor, obviously we all know that engaging kids and learners is critically important, and especially after the post-pandemic learning loss that you mentioned, John. Right? I mean, we're at an unprecedented time with significant needs. And I think everyone agrees that AI has the potential to help in this way. But you're doing a lot of things right, Taylor, when it comes to Stimuli. And I mean, a generative gaming platform that allows users to discover careers and build skills. I mean, that just sounds cool for one. And as all of these different things do. But what is the role that, how is it that you're using AI within your platform as you think about personalization, supporting learner engagement, along with other technology?
Well, one, I'm super excited to be here with you all. It's amazing that the last time we were together was in April. And since then, Stimuli has been awarded the United Nations AI for Good Global Competition winner, meaning not only in our nation and in this conversation do we think generative AI is important to education, but worldwide, the United Nations had said is extremely important. So as far as the role that we're trying to play in the ecosystem, is we're truly a platform. We're a platform that turns school into a video game. And the way we achieve that is we work with some of the largest school districts and online schools in the world. We work with some of the largest content publishers in the world. And we say, give us your content that right now is sitting on a platform that looks older than MySpace. And we're going to turn it into something that feels like Grand Theft Auto minus the theft. That's really where we are. And when you look at the use of generative AI and how it benefits the work we're doing, I just want to acknowledge that all of us listening, or all of us on this call, we know kids love video games. We know people love video games. There are 3.3 billion gamers in the world. That's 38% of the world population, and the average age of those gamers is 36. And so what we've essentially done is we've said, well, it sounds like a great idea to have school and learning and workforce development in a video game, but why haven't other people done it? And they haven't done it because it is so damn expensive to build a video game. If you take any web development team, you almost multiply times 3 to 5 to get the cost that it takes to build these video game experiences. And so even though at Stimuli, our vision from day one has been to leverage the most cutting edge technology to make learning engaging and personalized, it is just now in this season that AI and other technologies have really caught up to our vision. So what generative AI is enabling us to do is, one, we're able to ingest third-party content into our video game faster than any human could ever do it. The second thing we're able to do is we're able to leverage labor market data and understand by region and by local community, what are the career pathways that are important to those kids growing up in that community. The third and fourth thing we're doing as far as a data advantage is we're taking the curriculum from K-12 and we're saying, how does this curriculum align with workforce needs? Many people don't know this, but only 18% of curriculum in schools is actually aligned to workforce needs. And so that's something that, how in the world are we going to do that where we're having to get so much curriculum aligned with career pathways? And oh, by the way, none of us are experts at every career pathway. Perfect use case for AI. Very last and probably the most important thing is, as we've thought about personalization and Stimuli, most often people are thinking about personalization as, you got this answer right, you got this one wrong, we're going to tell you what to do next. We have flipped the script on that. We want to know who you are as an individual. We want to know what your interests are, where do you live, what are you passionate about, who are the brands you care about, and what skills do you want to have. And we're using all of that data, the curriculum you're supposed to learn, local labor market data, your interest, and we're compiling that into a video game to say, can we build the most engaging and most personalized learning experience for kids on the planet that starts a career pathway in middle school, as opposed to the approach most people take, which says we're going to grab them right when they're about to graduate high school or in college to get them ready. We really want to prep them. And we call those learners our day one learners who've been with us from the time they're in middle school. And what we're hoping to see is by the time kids graduate from our pathways, that they're getting great jobs that they're in love with. And they had a learning experience that went from MySpace to Grand Theft Auto.
I love it. And I especially love the MySpace reference because I may be the only person that's old enough to remember having a profile on it. But no, I think a couple of the things you mentioned, Taylor, I think, and Jared and John so far, I mean, AI seems like a tool that you're all using to not replace humans, but to supplement them, right? And it's to increase the capacity, not of your own organizations to do more of this good work, but also to increase the capacity of kids to get out there and explore, either younger or in times that they typically wouldn't. And I think, I mean, that's just, I love to hear it. So Randy, your organization is doing, I'm hearing a lot of similarities between the organizations, uniquely different, but you know, everybody's here, you know, and being able to provide kids with what it is that they need, and learners. And your company, a Training Ground's no different. I mean, you're empowering student athletes in underserved communities by providing a gamified micro learning experience on one side, but on the other side, a marketplace of influencer internships and job opportunities on the other. I mean, that's, again, I mean, the power of technology to allow you all to do more is impressive, and impressive what students have access to. But how has AI changed your approach in creating content and you know, talent development resources that authentically represents you know, the users and the kids that you're trying to get in front of? John mentioned a little bit about the way he's doing it before, but I'd love to hear that from your perspective. And how is you know, Training Ground helping student athletes? You know, how is it helping them change their lives?
Oh, thank you so much. And again, great to be connected once again. For all of you that don't know, Taylor is a former student athlete, and we aspire to build more Taylors as a company, if you will. Our company, Athlete Tech Group, is considered a sports education technology company. And when I say that, people are like, what's that? Dig deeper. We're literally like Taylor, John, Jared. We're really focused on sports. We really want to harness what kids are really passionate about. And we've learned that there's over 76 million kids playing sports in North America. And we've built Training Ground, our platform, to really align with our clear mission, which is to support the 99% of young athletes who do not make it to the professional level, and those who do, but face an average career span of about 3.5 years. Help them prepare for a workforce that they don't know what it looks like today, and we don't know what it look like tomorrow. With new media rights deals from the NBA and the WNBA worth over $80 billion, I believe the average pro career is going to be less than 3.5 years, and it's going to decrease. So actually, being an athlete is the world's shortest job. And because of this, AI has been great for us. We've been using it internally and externally. Internally, our platform has needed to create micro learning content that is diverse, that also provides a lot of unique experiences. I realize that micro learning is probably one of the best ways for people to acquire knowledge. So looking at trying to educate young athletes, I realized there was no micro learning curriculum or library available. So when we started the company, creating content used to take us about 2.5 weeks, everything from script writing to researching to figuring out the tone, the learning outcomes, which audience this is going towards. And at the end of last year, we built an AI tool that takes that 2-week process and brings it down to 90 minutes. So our library is growing rapidly. It's probably 6 or 7x over the last couple of months. Externally, our platform actually provides personalized learning pathways, ensuring that each athlete receives content tailored to their unique needs, goals, and interests. The personalized approach keeps them engaged with the micro learning modules that I had mentioned that help them develop essential skills, both on and off the field. And we've now recently built Max. Max provides AI-powered interactive scenarios. So where athletes can practice decision making and other critical skills in realistic simulations has been something that we've recently just launched. Hopefully we can hit 20,000 conversations soon, Jared. But we're definitely on our way as we understand that, you know, for a lot of young people, sports is the thing that they love. And if we can help them learn about the world through sports, we're getting them ready for the future of work, which is our company's goal. Uh, with all of this use of AI, what I'll ultimately land on is the impact has been amazing. We've been able to impact close to 50,000 users. We've also been able to create job opportunities, internships, and also micro partnerships. So our platform helps users build things called media kits. These media kits is looking at their digital portfolio, how they're engaging with the platform, what skills they're building, and we actually give out micro credentials around the skills that they're building on the learning side. So AI has been great in not only upskilling and helping us develop our young talent, but also connecting them with companies that are looking to diversify their talent pipelines or diversify their marketing channels as well.
Yeah, I mean, I continue to be amazed. In our last conversation when we all got together, Randy, what you had said there stuck with me, and it's the same is true today. I think, especially for student athletes, and to what you mentioned around being able to take what someone's really passionate about and what they care about, and guide them towards the other things that are also important, career readiness, and just how sometimes that may not be the priority right at the outset, but you guys do it so well, helping student athletes understand there's a life beyond and perhaps connected with the sports that you care so deeply about. So, okay, so far it sounds like you were all pretty all in on the idea of AI for both kids, learners, teachers, and so forth. So I want to look ahead a little bit and think, okay, so according to some research by Teen Voice, you know, they're pretty wary about a lot of things, AI notwithstanding. So there's some wariness, but they are using it. Quizlet, on the other hand, said, well, 65% of teachers and 61% of students are using generative AI in and around the classroom. But we continue to see, so both of those sides, that, you know, districts, schools struggling to keep up. You know, we were together, as you all have mentioned, not that long ago, and the conversation's already changed. So how do schools and, you know, organizations and others, you know, how is AI in the classroom? Is it a good thing? And what can schools do now to embrace it, or organizations do now to embrace it, or at least get their arms around it? Because again, it's moving at the speed of light. So why don't we'll work our way starting with John on this one, and then we'll make our way through.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that question. It's certainly something that we think a fair amount about at Get Schooled. I mean, I think a couple of things come to mind. The first is, yes, schools are using it. Yes, students are using it. Yes, educators are using it. And I think my sense, I don't have any data around this, but my sense is that the majority of those folks that are engaging with AI are doing so in ways that are sort of using the free versions, and the versions that are don't really have the privacy protections that, for example, Get Schooled takes as we're building our tools for young people. I think that's a bit of a mistake because I do think that, particularly for young people in digital spaces, privacy is really important. They're saying and thinking and doing things that are still very much on the front edge of the learning curve. And so I would encourage young people and educators to be thoughtful about taking sort of privacy precautions. And again, those are things that we do at Get Schooled, and I'm sure my colleagues do as well. I also think that and I'm a father. My kids both play sports, by the way. So Randy, I appreciate your efforts. I think there's an important balance between using AI in ways that can shorten the learning curve and using AI in ways that can build skills and depth and promote growth. And so we at Get Schooled try to take a really thoughtful approach and are being really intentional about the ways in which we're both using AI internally for our own organization and supporting young people. And I would just really encourage young people and educators to take a similar approach. Be precise. What's the engagement that you're having, and what's the purpose behind it, and what's the goal in the end? Don't let us not use AI to sort of take shortcuts. Sometimes taking a longer road can be important, particularly for young people and for educators on the learning process, and then use AI to just sort of level up in that next way.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting, it's certainly valid, and I think gets back to increased capacity. Don't replace the need for the actual learning, by all means. Jared, you were nodding a little bit while John was talking about I think the importance of, I'm going to put words in your mouth, John, for a second here, but the literacy around AI and how it's used. Can you speak to sort of the privacy side, and I mean the model that you've built with Coach? I mean, that is obviously critically important to you, given the conversational nature of it and generative AI.
Yeah, I think I'd say, sort of stepping back as a parent, I have two kids in elementary school. I'm 100% all in on and excited about their near educational future when they get to use AI more routinely to personalize learning for them. So, I'm very, 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 very excited for more tools to get in front of them. I think that to a great extent, schools can't control this. The technology providers and the programs that create the content that often go into schools, like, it's really on us. Like, we are, all of us here are actively using this, but our part of the sector really needs to step up and do a better job of being more creative and really investing in taking advantage of this technology, because it's here now, and essentially they're all waiting for us to be able to provide the services. I think that what I can say for schools is it's important for them to consider the privacy implications, to make sure that they're really, really clear about how learner data is and is not being used. But in addition, there's another thing that we've learned to be super important. The monitoring of quality has to be very transparent, and and honestly, at this point, at the stage of AI development, if you're putting AI right in front of the learner, directly to the learner, you don't have somebody sitting in between who's able to, assess quality, then you have to be able to monitor the quality really rigorously. Responsible AI becomes a thing that you have to do in practice, not in theory. And you have to build systems around that. So, for example, it took us 10 weeks to build the first beta version of our chatbot. If we were to do it now, it'd be even easier. But back when we started doing it, it took 10 weeks to do. When we built the first beta version of our quality and safety monitoring system, by the time we were really done, in the end, it really took about 4 months to get to the beta version. So it was this order of magnitude more difficult to build that. Now, again, that also will get easier, and is getting easier every day. But it's important that the educational institutions are not just saying, hey, what can this tool do in the happy path when everything goes well? But how will you know? How will you inform us? And how will the learner be informed if something generated through generative AI didn't meet the quality standard? And what will we do in that case? Because of the nature of these tools, that there is this uncertainty, this variability around them. With that power, you have to have the responsibility of knowing what we're going to do if it doesn't meet our standard. So I think that if those questions are coming from the educational institutions, it will put good pressure on the service providers and the content providers to be thoughtful about that. And that's what I think. That's what I think should happen.
Yeah, and a quick follow-up, Jared, are there any resources that you would recommend people check out as it relates to the privacy or the building AI responsibly?
Yeah, a couple of hat tips here. I mean, one is on the service provider or content creator side. I'd say there's actually some really good responsible AI content put out by Google and some other large tech companies around responsible AI. So there's really good stuff out there, a lot of frameworks. As it comes to tooling, it's a little more hit or miss. There are some solid platforms out there, but new startups starting literally every day in the field of monitoring and quality assessment. So I think, not reinventing the wheel, but using the available platforms that are launching is good. But on the educator side, I will do a hat tip to the DOE's guidance. The DOE just issued some guidance recently about the direction they want to see AI and ed tech moving in. Pretty solid, and I think they did some good work there. So I would encourage educational leaders to go straight to the DOE's guidance and at least start there.
I love it. Well, or it sounds like we need to turn those different resources into video games or Taylor needs to do that as well to make it even more accessible, or micro learnings like Randy's done. So I want to then let's move on to sort of the final and a wrap up question for each of you. And I want to start, Randy, with you. Again, of course, I asked this question in April, and I think it was, what's next, right? What do we talk about next year so we've got a milestone here, but we'll kick it down the curve a little bit. We'll say a year from now. What is next for AI? Like, what haven't we talked about today, or specifically for your company or education more broadly?
Yeah, that is a great question. And as I was sitting here trying to remember my answer, I could not remember like what I said to this, and I'm like, it's probably changed. So,
And that's all right. They're all good
and
answers.
that's completely fine, absolutely. But I think to your previous question and kind of blending it into this one, I think for everyone, it's a tool, right? Like as much as we look at it to change things, it's a tool that's like augmenting human capabilities, not necessarily replacing them. And I think, having a balanced approach around the values of like human judgment and interaction is going to be critical. I think what's next for our company is trying to hit that 20,000 conversation mark as soon as we can and continue to just improve, just like many athletes, right? Take the athlete mindset, just trying to get 1% better every single day. I've learned that the best way to figure out what the future looks like is to try to create it. And I think AI gives us the best opportunity to create it in a way that we've never seen before, right? And I think John may have mentioned it, that a lot of people are still using the free side of a lot of these AI platforms. They're just touching the surface, if you will, right? People are still just writing captions and still just writing emails, and you're missing what it can actually do. So I think it's a lot more integration into people's lives. So there's a lot of chat of different agents and, the personalization of these agents to help people continue to engage, whether it be through education or through their careers. I think Mark Zuckerberg actually mentioned this. There's going to be more agents than there are going to be people. So I think it's going to be an agent race in the next year of who could curate the most custom best agent for a set persona or a set personas that do it better than everyone else, right? Who can tell the best brand story, who can have the best customer success metrics. I think those are the things that are going to really help AI adoption. I don't know if we're still in the adoption phase or we're in the next phase, but I find that the best way to help adoption is just to put it in front of people and get people to use it in ways that speak to them, not so much speaks to the technology, but actually speaks to them as well. So I think we're all on to some very amazing goals and outcomes, and I can't wait till next April to hear how far you guys have taken everything that you guys have been able to do. ASA as well. I know you guys recently just launched the ASA Center as well.
With JFF, correct? Yeah.
So
Can I
really,
jump in
really
here?
excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna pass you the ball right now.
Cool, cool.
So
Thanks. I'm gonna catch it. One of the things I'm most excited about is actually ASA's Center for Career Navigation. And the reason I'm excited is because we have these two legacy organizations who have been at the forefront of calling a thing and saying that we're going to stand in the gap and do everything that we can to see that young people have the navigation they need. And so at Stimuli, I'm really excited to be working with our partners to see how we can bring that vision to life of the Career Navigation Center, but to also make sure that people are having the most engaging experience while navigating their careers, and the retention around you've gotten your career, you've gotten these skills, and you're coming back is coming to life. And the way that we're going to do that at Stimuli is over the next 2 to 3 years, we're focused on a lot of research alongside the Gates Foundation and the National Science Foundation. And what that research is focused on is which features of our platform that leverage AI can increase motivation, engagement, and persistence in Black, Brown, and low-income learners, all tied to careers. Now, I want to go to something that Randy said about the culture. That's what you talked about a lot, is it's not just who's going to be using AI, but how are they using it and what data are they infusing it with? So our research practices are actually going to study what is it like when you work with Hollywood voice actors and you're bringing them into this platform. And what I want you all to think about is some of the major culturally groundbreaking moments that we've had in life, whether it was Apple's 1984 commercial or Disney and Pixar coming out and having these computer animated films, or Thriller being produced by a movie producer. That's what we want to do for education. We want to bring culture and sneaker drops into this world that has never seen it before with the use of AI. And the last thing that we're going to do is, once we've gotten the data and we've done the research, we've brought the culture in, then we're going to scale. So I look forward to seeing how fast Stimuli can work alongside the great partners at ASA and JFF to help them reach that North Star goal of impacting 75 million job seekers and learners around the world. But we're not stopping there. I've got big visions, and ultimately in the next 5 years, I would love to take Stimuli public. And the signal that that will have is not only did Taylor make this vision come true, but the economic impact that will happen when that moment crosses is in the millions of trillions of dollars for uplifting people in low-income communities. So that's what I'm excited about for the future.
Just a couple of standard things. My goodness, I love it. I love it. And if there's anyone who's going to do it, I think everybody, Taylor, you're a force, as is everyone else here. So you guys you're on the right track. Jared and John, I'll give you guys John, you'll get the last word. Jared, what's next for you all, and how are you thinking about AI? What else haven't we talked about? And
we're scaling out the access to coach, and putting it in as many people's hands as possible, and just 100% focused on making it greater and greater every day. As each chat happens, we iterate and just make it phenomenal. Right now, that means putting it in the hands of educational institutions. So we're launching soon an API version of it and a widget that can be embedded into other people's platforms. Tell your friends. Yeah, just getting it out in front of as many folks as possible. And then, a year from now, I think we need to really continue to be very tuned into and keep an eye on what's happening in the labor market in terms of dynamics. Obviously, there's information about occupational level stuff, but how fast is turnover changing? How quickly are new jobs forming? And what does that mean for how we help people develop skills? And how do we manage the, I think, intensifying rapid pace of how skills are expected to be acquired by people against, John, the thing you mentioned earlier, which is sometimes you need to make sure that the acquisition of the skill itself is done in a manner that really results in a fidelity of the skill. I think there's going to be pressure in the labor market around that. So I'm going to be looking forward to seeing how those dynamics evolve and what we need to do as a sector to be able to respond to those changing labor markets.
Yeah, no, and Lee, yeah, thanks for the question. So I think the year ahead for Get Schooled is really, really exciting. We have our second generative AI powered tool underway right now. Matter of fact, earlier today, we just had 5 students review it this past week. So we've taken that round of reviews and infusing it into the the next version. We are excited about being able to release that tool this fall, and I would say it's 4 or 5 steps or leaps beyond our current version. And so we're really excited about that. And I think Randy, some of the points that you made around the level of personalization and agents and things like that, that's definitely where we're going. And we have a roadmap for 8 additional coaches thereafter. So we've got a full AI roadmap for the next year. Tomorrow I'll be jumping on a plane and heading to the great city of Detroit and sitting down with a dozen executive directors, and we're going to be in conversation about AI and other tools, and we're going to be talking about how Get Schooled's tools can be useful. So to Jared's point about we're investing a lot of time in this within our 4 organizations in building really compelling tools and supports and ways of engaging. And then there's also the distribution, right? So how do you get it out? How do you get it into the hands? And so in the year ahead here at Get Schooled, I think we're focused on both of those things. So really excited.
Well, I am very excited for all of you. All incredible stories, incredible work, all around the same effort, which is we need to do more to help kids prepare for what comes after high school and beyond. And whether it's turning it into video games, creating, interactive, engaging experiences like coaches or micro learnings, practicing interviews, all of the above, critically important. We couldn't thank you enough for being a partner of ours, and we're very excited to see all of those things come true 1 year from now. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, Lee.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.